Welcome back to the Marianne Hickman Show. Listen, if you're new here, you have found the perfect episode. This episode is dedicated to a lot of my friends. It's dedicated to Alton. It's dedicated to Ryan. It's dedicated to Heather. It's dedicated to anyone that wants to grow their business. And I know that sounds like a really wide blanket, but I don't know very many people who got into business and then they're like, oh, I'm good. And they set it on autopilot, right? I don't know anyone that's there yet. This is dedicated to the people that are looking to get out of their 9 to 5. If that's you, if you're looking to get out of your job and build a sustainable income, this is dedicated to you. If you're looking to generate some income because you've already left your job, whether it was nice or not nice, pretty or unpretty, this is for you. And listen, I know this sounds very financial based. It is a common denominator that we all share. But if you listen to the end of this podcast, we talk about deeper mission and deeper purpose. Jeff talks about it in his book launch. If you don't have a copy, get it in the link below. You're going to want a copy of this book. It has changed everything for me. Now, this is the second episode that I've had Jeff on the show. And I have to tell you, I was at Jeff's feet, just soaking it all in. I finished his book and we have talked about everything. I'm going to get straight to it here. This launch sequence is all about the psychology of why human beings do what they do and how we can speak to them in a way that helps us grow our business by helping human beings buy products that they love and help our businesses grow. You know my mission. Together with Richard, we are hell-bent on putting the microphone up to messages that matter and monetizing it. I tell you what, I have used this launch sequence to grow my business. I've used this launch sequence to generate revenue. And I had the author, the one and only Jeff Walker, on the show for the second time today to talk about how this is done, no matter what stage of business you're in, no matter if you know what pixels are, or if you're just using Venmo and you don't even have a CRM, if you don't even know what that means. This is the answer I have found to get those products sold, to get the books sold, to grow your email list, no matter where you're at in your business. Jeff has answers for you, and I highly recommend that you check out the show notes in the bottom of this episode. If you want to get into Jeff's world, check out the links in the show notes below to start learning firsthand how to launch your next product, your next business, to make your first 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, and beyond. I got to tell you, it's possible no matter what you're doing. Check it out. I am joined once again by the one and only Jeff Walker. Now, you probably saw 1.0, part 1 of this podcast. And after we got off, Jeff and I were like, we've got to do a part 2. We need to talk about the event coming up. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I have to confess, when I was reading Jeff's book and we found each other on Threads, I was just jaw hit the floor that I was actually talking to Jeff, first of all. But I have to be transparent. I hadn't finished the book yet. I had done I had done a mini launch. Like, I only read the first 2 steps, was blown away, got 3 new customers. There was only $20 monthly recurring from each customer, but that's okay. We're celebrating the win there.
Right.
And then I did a full another launch, made 15,000 on it. And I just barely finished the book, but you can see my copy is all kinds of marked up and tabbed, and I made my own workbook to walk myself through it. And I wanted to bring Jeff back on because honestly, at the end of the book, I was so moved by the way that Jeff did testimonials, and he highlighted people. He's got a whole page for many of the testimonials. In fact, if you read the book, you'll see testimonials. Like, go to jeffwalker.com/this, and then it's the whole person's story on there. And the thing that just hit me was this, is that so many people are just like Jeff was in a position like this, and I was in a position like this, where the unexpected happened, and you're suddenly left with nothing but your own expertise, which you might be questioning, and a drive to provide for your family. And this is where this book came in for me. And this is where I'm so grateful for Jeff and what he's doing with the world. So Jeff, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you.
It's great to be here, Marianne. Thanks for having me.
Always. So Jeff, you've got an event coming up, and we're going to talk about that toward the end. But I wanted to ask you, now that I've been through the book, I've showed people book. I'm probably the biggest book missionary you'll ever meet for what we're doing here, what you're doing. For people that are going through the launch formula, let's talk about the beginning of it and how this solves problems for people. Because like you said, and like you've experienced, this was a theory, and the book you give techniques, of course, but this is a theory that withstands the test of time. I was just reading in chapter 16, where you said that someone came up to you at an event and said launches are dead. What's that all about?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, Marianne, so when I first released this is a product launch formula, which is like sort of become my life's work now. It was in October of 2005. So we're at 20 years now.
Whoa.
And in January of 2005, a peer in the industry, and actually a friend of mine, put out like a white paper that said launches are dead. Like 3 months after I published, and
Thanks, bro.
yeah, and I mean he's like, "Thanks, Jeff. It was really great. I did $1 million launch, but launches are dead now." And that refrain is so that was 3 months in, and now we're 20 years in, and that refrain generally when you see someone telling you that launches are dead, they're in the middle of their launch. It's the pre-launch of their launch. It's sort of uncanny how that happens.
Hey, what's up? Marianne Hickman here. Listen, I'm interrupting my own show because I want to give you something. Now, you guys all want to get on more stages. I've got a free resource for you of stages that are just clamoring for guests. They need guests on a daily, weekly, sometimes monthly basis. This is my podcast database. Now, what I'm going to do is have you go to mariannehickman.com/database. Once you put in your information there, I'm going to send this to you totally for free. Open up this database. You're going to click through it, find the next podcast that's relevant to your topic, hit the application button, show up on their podcast, get in front of their people, and share your content. Remember, mariannehickman.com/database. Let's get you unlocked.
So he had made $1 million off a launch and then says launches are, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. No, I mean, it just keeps on working because it's built on the psychology of humans, and humans don't change that quickly. And certainly what we did in 2005 is radically different from what we do in 2025. Back then, launches were mostly email based. We didn't have video. We didn't have blogs. We didn't have social media. There was very few opportunities for advertising. We didn't have live broadcasts. So the tools weren't there, but the psychology was. And it's just, that's why, I mean, I've kept refining it for the last 20 years, but it absolutely works because what it does is you're turning your marketing into an event instead of just putting something out there and hoping people see it. And the market is so crowded now. No matter what market you're in, there's so many people publishing it. It's just this torrent of content and video and social. And to stand out is the challenge. And the way you stand out is you take your marketing and you make it valuable. You make it tell the story of your offer, but also you're telling the story of your clients, your future clients' future success. And then you build this desire before the product's even available, and it works. I mean, if you look at the way, I mean, if you want to say launches are dead, go tell that to Apple. They're going to be releasing an iPhone in another month and a half.
Another one.
Yeah, and they're going to turn that into an event. There are already rumors, and then like a month before, there'll start to be rumors about when the announcement is going to come, when their big reveal will be, and then they'll build up all kinds of hype building up for that reveal, and then they'll have that reveal, and the reveal it's still not available. Then a few days later, it'll just be the announcement. Then they'll reveal it on the website. And then a few days after that, they'll tell you when it will be available for pre-order. And, I mean, what are we? This is going to be like iPhone 16. It's not as exciting as it was with the iPhone 4 or whatever, but still people get pumped up and they line up outside the doors, so tell them launches don't work. How about Hollywood? Tell Hollywood, I mean, you remember in the olden days when there'd be like one trailer for a film, and the only time you'd see that trailer is when you went to see another film, and then you'd happen to see a trailer. Now there's like 3 trailers for a film, and they'll start a year out. And now they'll run ads, and the ads will be building up the hype for the next trailer. Right?
It's true. Trailers have become their own cinema.
Right. And what is a trailer? A trailer is what in our world we call pre-launch content. And so, I mean, tell Hollywood. And then all of a sudden, a few weeks before the film, now all the actors are just magically appearing on all the podcasts. It's like, wow, so and so is on every single podcast this week. I wonder why that is. Well, because there's a film coming out in the next week, right? So
And
they
we
have
saw
a
the same thing for the election. Same thing. Guess who was on all the podcasts leading up to the election? That was just a launch.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so all I've done is over the last 20 years, I've codified that and I've developed a strategy for how regular people like you and me can do that without the budgets that Hollywood has or that Apple has.
And that, speaking of budget, so I don't know how much paid ads you do. I found you organically. I bought your book like in every format possible, just not in every language because that would be useless to me. But how much do you use paid ads now that you've been doing this for 20 years, like at least? Do you use paid ads anymore, or do you still run launches without paid ads?
No, we definitely run ads. In the olden days, there weren't ads. You didn't have the platforms weren't there. And then so it was all organic, and then joint venture traffic and affiliate traffic, which is something that we're really good at. And then, once the ad platforms grew up, then we started using them. So yeah, so we have our launch is coming. So I eat my own dog food, right? It's like I do what I teach. And so we have a launch coming up that we call the Launch Masterclass. And we'll run several $100,000 in ads to that just because we know we'll make it back.
Yeah, when you've got a formula now that says, okay, this ad, the ROAS is there. It makes sense to run the ads because it's just plugging money into a machine and then that machine's run. You've got your automation set up. I mean, that's what happens with 20 years of experience on this thing, right?
Right, and a proven offer. And we know our metrics, and they go up and down a little bit, but we know what we can spend. So really, we're spending as much as we can. And I'll tell you, the best place to spend in a launch, and we're getting to the advanced ground already, but we'll be running ads to generate new leads, and they'll do fine. They'll ROI absolutely. But once you have someone who's already opted in, who's already in the launch, then advertising to them to drive them back to the content. And then once you get into you have the pre-launch sequence, and we're driving consumption there because people have signed up. Yeah, I want to go to your masterclass, sure. And so they give you their email address, but a lot of them won't actually engage or won't engage as deeply as we would like them to. And when I say engage, I mean that's just consuming the content. And the content's great training. So we want to send them back to that. And then once we get to the open cart phase, where we actually start taking orders, now we're driving those warm people back to the open cart. And then the open carts, there's like an open to the open cart. And then for us, it'll be about 4 days. The offer will be available for 4 days. And as you get deeper into it, then we'll start messaging, hey, it's closing down. It's closing down tomorrow. It's closing down tonight. It's closing down in a few hours. And that spend on that advertising has just an astronomical return.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, you've gone well beyond email marketing for this, which I'm still using heavily email. I'm sure you do too. That would be my main source. But in your ads, I'm assuming you're using pixels and things to understand how far people have come through the marketing sequence, through the pre-launch or the launch sequence, to say which you've got a dichotomous key. In other words, which behaviors does this ad target as far as did they opt in, did they not? Do I have that right?
100%. And even have they been to the sales page? Have they been to the checkout page? So, I mean, this is super advanced stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've got my husband who's going to program all of this listening.
Right.
This is
Right. Absolutely. No, I mean, again, I always, one thing I'm good at is remembering what I was like when I was beginning and what an idiot I was and how I had zero tech knowledge whatsoever. And so I'm always cognizant of that because I don't want to overwhelm folks who are watching, because you can do this without paid. You can do this without getting super fancy. But yeah, if you're going to get super fancy, and we've been doing this for a long time, and I have a team that helps me do all this, then yeah, you're segmenting by the people who are super engaged, by the people who have clicked through to the sales page, people who spent time on the sales page, people who have clicked through the order page and have abandoned the order page. So yeah, you can segment the whole thing.
I've got to send Richard to your workshop so he can get all of that juiciness, because that's above my pay grade
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
and
But let's
frankly, mine too. I mean, I can't. I mean, I know. I know all the flows, and I know where the spend works, and I'm recording the ads. But in terms of actually running those things, I'm not the one doing that anymore.
you got your team now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and when I was reading in your book, you mentioned that your team was relatively new in terms of solopreneurship, which you had major success in, and then bringing on the team. How did you know it was time for that?
Well, I was too slow to build a team. So let me run through it. First, it was me doing everything. And that was when I was a stay-at-home dad, taking care of a couple youngsters, and my wife was supporting the family. Then we had enough success in the business where my wife was able to retire. And when she retired, she wanted to be a mom, but quickly she dove into helping me out. So then it was Mary and myself running the business. And, I remember at one point, like we were just drowning in customer service, and Mary came to me and she's like, like grown-up businesses, when they get to this point, they hire people. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea, really.
Go Mary.
Yeah, no, it's such an idiot. And so we hired Betty, and Betty actually just retired in the last year. She was with us from 2000, almost 20 years. She was with us.
Wow.
So we had one person, so it's just one person, in addition to Mary and I, and that was for a couple of years. And then we brought on, it was very gradual. And we're at, I think we brought on my brother actually. So we have my brother, and he was running our partner relationships. And it was like the four of us, and we were like a $4 million business, but
Wow.
we were really scrambling hard. And then we gradually grew it up to about, added some operations people, and got it up to like maybe 8, 10 people. And we were there for a long time until we got up in like that $8 million range. And that's when we started growing. And then COVID was another big lever for us, and we grew in a big way. And yeah, we're up around 30 people now.
Wow. Okay. And how does that, you kind of matched your revenue with your staff size. How is that 30 people comparing to the revenue growth right now?
Well, I mean, we've been pretty flat since COVID, because it's just well, first of all, COVID was a big explosion, and we did really, really well. And then, it's a tougher environment now. There's more competition out there. There's a
Yeah.
lot of noise out there. So we've been sort of holding our own, and that 30 people, yeah, we just got an amazing team right now. It's just incredible. Yeah,
Well,
I
you've
think,
got a
like,
huge
what
global
I'll tell you,
vision.
Marianne, one of the things we did create. So we have Product Launch Formula, which is just an amazing program. And then we do have a higher end coaching where people get a lot more hands on, where they get everything reviewed for them, where literally they get every launch they do, they get a full one-on-one debrief with a coach before they go to launch. They get every asset reviewed. So we'll be looking at their pages, we'll be looking at their scripts, we'll be
Wow.
looking at everything. So it's a much higher level of service. So we have like just that program alone, it's probably 11 or 12 people are supporting that program. So
As
that,
far as coaches and go.
yeah,
Yeah.
coaches, and then the
Amazing.
coaches have people that are helping them, that are like navigators, we call them. That and just there's a lot of just scheduling all the calls and making sure people get all the assets and the reviews, get back to them. There's a lot of work. So it's coaches and then support staff for those people.
So one of the things that really stuck out to me when I first started diving into your world, and again, I have to thank my friend Angie for recommending your book. If you remember, I asked her, "How are you selling out your events every time?" And she's like, "Well, you got to read this," and so I did. And this concept of we've got all of these emails going out. You've got so much automation, and I'll be honest, and maybe this is throwing myself under the bus. When I first looked into everything, I started reading the book. I went straight to your page, and I tripped over your tripwires on purpose. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take a look at this and see if these emails can serve as templates. Maybe that's IP theft. I don't know. But one of the things that you mentioned in your book was that you can't do that, and it doesn't work, not because it's, immoral, which it probably is, but because you don't understand the psychology. If you're trying to copy an email, and I'm sure anyone in marketing, any entrepreneur has gone through a tripwire on purpose to see, okay, if they did this, it must be working. How did they do it? And I just messed up so much because I didn't understand the sequence. I didn't understand the psychology of it. I just understood this email and this email and this email. And you can't just take the ingredients without the recipe because you can't see the end from the beginning and you can barely know where you're starting from. So you mentioned we were getting in detail in advance, and that excites me because I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm ready for some of that. But let's rewind to the very beginning. And you said one of your strengths is remembering what it was like at the start, before we had email, before with the CRM was doing all of these automations, before these segmented lists and all of these things. And I have the joy and bliss of working with a lot of facilitators. I call it my speakers facilitators, who are either staring down their 9 to 5 because they want to leave it. They know it's cramping their style, putting it the nicest way possible, or people that have been, I want to say, involuntarily forced out of their 9 to 5, and they have no other option. I've got a friend of mine right now who just came into my community, and he said, I've just burned all of my bridges. There's no other option. I've dumped every penny I have into my business. And Weston, if you're listening, this is for you. I want to pick the brain of the expert here that says, I don't have an email list. And guys, I will always refer you back to this book because that's where it starts. But I've got Jeff right here. I don't have an email list. I don't even have a tripwire, but I need income. What should I be doing?
Yeah, that's great. So we have this process that we call a seed launch. And so product launch formula has just grown up into this whole ecosystem. We've got this amazing community, and so many people, so much of the work has been developed by people within the community that they brought back to me. And we have launches for books and for art and for physical products and for high-end workshops and just about anything you can imagine. But at the core, there's 3 primary types of launches. And the one that I love the most, in fact, I'm teaching a live cohort on this now. I just did a call yesterday about this. It's called the seed launch. And the seed launch is perfect for someone who's just starting out. And the technology that you need is basically Zoom and the ability to send some emails. And you probably need like a Venmo account to get paid, or something super simple to get paid. And that's bare minimum. You could use more tech, but that's it. And the seed launch is this idea where you have something to teach. You have some area of expertise, of knowledge, and you sell the program before you actually create it. So this is important. You put sales before production, which is critical, because we can all spend a huge amount of time thinking about what kind of product we should create, and then thinking about what it would look like and how many modules and how many videos and what the outline looks like. And then how do we film this thing? And do we use, what mic do we use, and what camera and what lights, and how do we edit it? And I don't actually like the way I look in video, so let me shoot that again. And then, that sound wasn't perfect, so let me shoot it again. And then there's like, I forgot that one part, and there's a fly buzzing in the background, so I'm going to shoot it again.
You're speaking to me, Jeff.
I know, and not just you. All of us do this, because we'll find any way we can to procrastinate actually putting the work out there. And and I've been there myself plenty of times. And you know what? The other thing is, then you're just in your head, you're trying to invent what's going to be a good product. And what you want to do, it's called validating your offer. So you make the sale, and what you're selling is a small group workshop. And then, so you sell it with a very simple launch, the simplest launch that we have. You sell it, and then hopefully you get, ideally you get 20 or 30 people in it. But the first time I did it, I only sold 6 people. And I'll tell you about that in just a minute. And then before the class, before your first session, then in your head, you say, I've got this thing to teach. How many sessions should I do? And the answer is usually between 3 and 7, but just say 5. I'm going to do 5. no matter what it is. I'm going to teach people how to play guitar. I'm going to teach people how to do their first inverted yoga poses. I'm going to teach people how to build a meditation, whatever. 5 is usually a good answer. You're going to do 5 calls. You can do more if you want. You can do less if you want. Just do 5. And then
It's a good baseline.
just do 5. And then you can do more as bonuses, no problem. And then before each call, you send out a survey. And if you've only got 6 people, then you can just send them an individual email and say, this is the topic for the next call. What's your top 2 questions about that? Then you take those questions and you just sort them into a logical order. Then you just get on and you speak to those questions. And now you've created a product that is tuned to the market. Now I'm actually running a cohort of this right now. And I had because I have a bigger audience, a bigger business. I had almost 400 people I'm taking through this process right now. And I just got their survey responses. I got 170 survey responses that tell me exactly. Now, I mean, I've been teaching this stuff for 20 years, and yet being in it and being able to read those 170 responses, and it doesn't take time. I mean, you just flip through them really quickly, and wow, it's amazing. And then I know I'm creating the perfect product for them. And so this brings in money before we do product creation. It validates your offer, and it makes sure you're creating a great product. And so the first time I did this was it was the first time I was teaching product launches. So I'd done product launches in a prior business for 8 years and was really good at it, but I didn't know how to teach it. So I did this class. I sold 6 spots in this class, 6 spots. Then I'm like, it'd be nice to have some more people going through this. So I invited like 20 friends that I knew. They're like friends in the industry. I knew they wanted to know this stuff, but I felt weird about charging them, which was like, I had some money baggage going on there. And so then I ended up having, somewhere between 25 and 30 people go through this. And those people helped me create an amazing program on how to do launches. Not because I was amazing at launches, but I wasn't amazing at teaching launches. I'd never taught it. But in going through this process and asking them what they needed to know, they told me. And then I created a great product. And then I delivered that over. I promised. How many calls Marianne, how many calls did you think I promised?
What, 5, I'm guessing.
5 calls. And then because I obsess about over delivery, I did an extra bonus calls. I did 5 more calls. I did total.
Oh my gosh, you doubled it?
I did, but it was just, but like a lot of them, they were like sort of case studies with people I'd helped. And I'll tell you what, Marianne, I don't usually admit this, but I started doing it in April. It's when, or early May, when I started delivering it. And by the time I got to the 10th call, it was the middle of the summer. It was like middle of July. And it was it got scheduled for a Friday afternoon in the middle of July. And I had this great live interview with someone who's really done an amazing launch. And we do this interview at the end. I'm like, okay, and this is before Zoom. This is on a phone, a teleseminar. And I'm like, okay, John, let me open up the lines and see if we got any questions. I open up the lines and there's like complete silence. And you know, I can see where this is going. There was not a single person on the call with us. Not one person showed up for that 10th call. It's just, that's the nature of humans. You give them something on a Friday afternoon in the summer, and it's the 10th call.
And they're camping or something.
They're off at the cabin. But it didn't matter. We had this great recording. We had amazing recordings. And so me being the perfectionist, I took what I had learned about how to teach, and then I created the video course. And all those 5 bonus recordings, those were bonus interviews, and I used those straight up as content. And now I have my home study course. What we used to call a home study course was a now online course. And I did a launch for that. And that was, let's see, I first sold it was either March or April when I sold those 6 spots, taught the course for 2 or 3 months, rebuilt the course. And in October, I launched the first product launch formula, and that launched at $600,000. And
based on these recordings.
Yeah.
Holy crap, Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I've had a couple questions pop in my head. listening to your book last Friday. I'm driving home from horseback riding lessons, and there was an example in your book of something I've heard you touch on a few times, but this time it hit me different because I have a friend. I hope that Ryan's okay with me saying his name. If not, sorry, Ryan. But he's in the service-based business. And in your book, I can't remember if it was a roofer or if it was like a carpet installation company, but they're selling a hard product. It's not a consumable like a lotion that you'll need to rebuy or anything like that. This is installation. And I'm asking for Ryan because Ryan and I we're really good friends. My husband's really good friends with him, really good friends with this Cheryl. And they have this roofing company, and Ryan has just, we've been talking so much, and then he's like, I'm waiting for my moment. I'm waiting for my moment. And if you'd be so kind as to just speak to this, because I know what launch has done for me. I know it's done for my friends. But what about Ryan, who isn't information based? He's service based. I think this could be a linchpin for him, but I wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah, I mean, so something like that, you have to be a little bit more creative. And one of the big problems is that you could run into a capacity issue. Like if I $600,000, that was 600 courses at $1,000 a pop, and we could have sold 1,000 or 2,000 or it's easy to replicate that. But if all of a sudden you have 100 people that want roofing done next week, then you have the rat through the snake problem. So what I would be looking at to something like that is, and I'm not even sure how that business works. I would imagine it's estimate based, that you have to go out and do some type of an estimate. And so I'd be looking to do a process that takes people in, that leads them through a relatively short amount of information that educates them on basically how to get a roofing job done well, done efficiently, done as painlessly as possible in terms of the decision-making process, and also having the work done. The decision-making process, the estimate process, getting the work, and so I would be building some type of a very short, very tight informational series that walks them through that, and then would lead to the call to come and get the estimate.
Okay, so you're targeting the consumers of the people that need new roofs, and we just had a hailstorm, so I think there's going to be a possible for an influx there.
Yeah.
So you're converting physical delivery of a physical service-based product to information.
Yeah, and I mean, it could just be like one video, how not to get taken. 10 things to watch out for to make 10 signs you might be about to get taken on your roofing repair, and what it could mean, how it could go wrong.
Ooh, that's valuable.
Yeah, something like that.
That's your lead magnet.
And
how
then
over by your roofer.
That's the lead magnet, and it's a simple short video, or it could be a simple short PDF with backed up by a video. That'd probably be better. And then what I would be doing, so like a super advanced move is what we call an evergreen launch. And that's this idea where you create a launch and whenever someone comes into your world, they opt in, they join you, they follow you, then they go through their own sequence, their own launch sequence. And for something like this, where you'd have to worry about overwhelming your ability to serve people, I would be looking to generate leads on a consistent basis into that type of a sequence that then leads them, really, it's the sequence isn't making a sale. The sequence is getting them to book the appointment for, for the assessment, which again, I'm not sure how the business works, but I'm guessing there's, something along that lines.
Yeah, there's some on-site work, I'm sure, that needs to be done. I think he's trying to make as much of it remote as possible with digital calculators, and you can adjust the pitch of your roof. My husband's helping him with that. It sounds like to me also, and tell me if I'm off base here, that someone, and I know I'm speaking directly about Ryan, but I hope if you're listening, you can see someone that this applies to, if it's not yourself, to where you become the industry expert through providing this knowledge, and you become known for that. Chef, let me ask just your opinion. Is there a space where it would be wise for someone like Ryan to say, okay, I'm the industry expert, I'm known by my customers for this, but what about training other roofers? Because when I look at that,
now
I'm seeing an explosion. Now you can multiply.
Absolutely.
And you
Absolutely.
can license and things like that. What would that look like?
I mean that now it's a business that looks like my business. It's a what I like to call it a wisdom business, or old school name is an information business. Yeah, to me, it's like an online course, and it's an online course that's then there could be advanced level coaching, and there could even be a mastermind. This is then it's just a classic selling a course, and I would do the seed launch. I would absolutely do a seed launch to figure out. I mean, Ryan knows the business. He probably knows the biggest pain points, but he probably doesn't have experience teaching it. So, a phrase I love to use is I love to rub elbows with my people. You know, get to know them, have a conversation with them, and it's so much easier to teach in an interactive way than to sit there and try to set up that studio and figure out what you think people might want. So I would, if I said I would start publishing. I would start publishing about the business. I would find out where people hang out that are, and one of the things he'd have to decide is he putting people in the business, or is he helping people grow the business who already have one?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd probably start off with the latter. I'd probably,
Yeah.
start with, because those people are findable. The people that have the roofing business, they're findable.
Well, they're his competitors right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but they're all over the place. So they're not
Yeah.
really competitors. I mean, so yeah. And I would try to put together a classroom, either in Zoom or in person, but probably Zoom, where he just teaches how to, it could be how to make more money, or how to have a better life, how to run your business better, but figure out what their pain points are. And he knows their pain points, but I just get in front of them and teach them all the knowledge, all the systems that he has, and go from there.
So this is really sounding like this linchpin, this turning point, because it feels like it should go sequentially. Part one, so you have the legitimacy to do part two. I have a better chance of teaching you after my business becomes too much for me.
Yep.
And now I'm out of bandwidth. So I'm going to trade that bandwidth for something. Oh my gosh, Ryan, listen to this episode. Okay.
Yeah.
So
No, 100% is absolutely true. Yep.
I'm dying for that for him, because I know that how much of his time he wants back, and information can do that once you have your modules done. Okay. So I'm really just asking on behalf of my friends here. So I want to point to my friend Heather, because she illustrates a very poignant part of this. So she's one that left W2, and she's got this brilliant information-based business. She and her husband help people who are struggling with addictions in marriage to overcome those. And she's been asked by even like the therapist that had been seeing them has now using their material to teach his other clients, which is pretty darn cool. But I got a message from her that without revealing too much of her personal information, she's at the point that I think that we all get to as entrepreneurs, when you've been hustling and you've been grinding and the results aren't there yet. You're not seeing the results yet, and you needed the results yesterday to keep the water turned on. What would you tell her?
Well, first of all, this is a great niche. And the fact that like their therapist is like using their work, I mean, that's an amazing story. And you could build an empire off that story. And so now it's a matter of building the audience. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that seed launch, that it's like I'm such a it sounds so simple. It sounds overly simple sometimes, and there's definitely nuances. There's a lot of nuances, and people for some reason they like to overlook it. But I mean, I'm teaching 400 people how to do it right now, and they are so jacked up. It's ridiculous. So it's basically creating. If it sounds like they might have already have helped some people.
Yeah, definitely. They've started a podcast, which is fantastic. And we've written a little mini book together, a little 12-page ebook for them to use as their tripwire. They have a CRM. Those ingredients are all in place.
So then they're starting to build. So they're starting to build an audience. They're starting to build a list.
They're starting to. I would say that if she were to tell you her biggest pain point is that she can say my email list isn't very big.
Everyone says that. The person with 100,000, the person with 100,000 people will be like, "Ah, man, if I only had a bigger list." Yeah, there's only two types of people: the people who haven't started building a list, and the people who want a bigger list.
There you go.
That's it. So,
Yep.
And I would, if I were her, I'd get that list of 300 people, and then I would do a seed launch, and 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 it's basically, hey, I love sharing this stuff, and well, first it'd be like one piece of pre-launch content, and that one piece of pre-launch content would just like be like the hookiest, coolest idea that they've got that they share, and they could do this in a podcast, but they also could take it and put it on just like a video up wherever. It could be on their website, it could be on YouTube or wherever, and mail their entire list to that. But at the end of it, it's like, and if this sounds cool, we're going to do something. I feel like I'm stepping out big, or I feel like I'm going out on a limb here. I'm a little bit nervous, but it's been so meaningful to have this result in our marriage, to have our therapist actually take our stuff and start using it to in their work, and to share in this podcast. Frankly, it feels like this is my life's work unfolding in front of me, and I want to share it in a deeper way. And I'm going to be in the way I figured out how I'm going to do that is to just bring a small group together, and we're going to work on this together. We're going to have 5 sessions. We're going to do it. It's going to be super simple. We're going to do it on Zoom, and we're going to walk through this together. And I'm not going to be doing therapy. I'm not a therapist. We're not going to have that kind of relationship, but we're going to work through this together in a group, and it's going to be super interactive. And if you're interested, just keep your eye on your inbox, because I'm going to be sending you an email in a few days with details on how to get registered for this.
It seems like, Jeff, the biggest hang up between everything that you're saying, which is the same thing, right? It doesn't matter really where you are, just do the same thing again, repeat the process. The biggest disconnect between that and where people are right now is that they don't know what they have. They don't see how brilliant they are. They don't see how intelligent they are. Do you run into that a lot?
Well,
Can
isn't
you
that
handle
true for
that?
all of us? Isn't that true for every one of
I mean,
us,
it feels
including
like it.
you? Yeah, it's just others can see our genius way before we can. Way before we can. And that's why, I've got this formula. And if you got a great big business, you can come and plug it in and do the joint venture launch. Or if you've already got, there's all kinds of launches you can do. The seed launch is just one of them. But in the seed launch, you're using other people's ability to see your genius to help you create a great product.
I mean, it seems like, man, do you do any mindset work? You mentioned like money baggage. I totally get that. I think everyone comes with their own money baggage, checked and carry on, whatever kind of style you like. Do you work with like, how do you help your people overcome the money baggage issues and the curse of knowledge issues where they don't think they're cool enough?
Yeah, it's just built into the work. And if anyone out there's got an online course, if you really want to serve your people, you have to build in the mindset work. And that was, it took me a little bit to figure that out. The first PLF didn't have that. The second PLF had it a little bit. And then the third, but by the time I got to the third remake, which was in 2009, then I'm like, we have to go deep on this. You absolutely have to go deep on this, because any of us if we're doing any type of teaching, training, coaching, consulting, we're trying to create behavior change in our clients. And behavior change it's only hard for one group of people, humans.
I was like, all of us, right? I know that group.
It's a difficult thing for every one of us. And I'm not, whether you're trying to hit a better tennis serve, or whether you're trying to speak a second language, or whether you're trying to carve wooden dolls. It doesn't matter. There's behavior change involved. And so you have to build in mindset. And I'll tell you what, like in my book, you love my book.
I do.
But and it's got 4.7 stars on Amazon. Over 1,000 reviews. And that's just the newest edition. The last edition had, I think, 3,000 reviews. 4.7 stars. People love it. But you know who don't love it? Who give it the 1 star? They're like, they complain that there's too many stories in there.
What?
There's
That's
too
their
many
complaint?
too many success stories. I could have written the book in 150 pages instead of 300 pages. Well, that might be true, but people wouldn't get the results, because built into those stories is the mindset work. That's
Well,
what
yeah.
gets people results. And so anyone who's doing any type of training, you have to build it in. And I build it in. And if you look at it, even on this call, I keep on going back of like, yeah, it's easy for you and I to geek out about Facebook pixels. But that's going to scare the living shit out of people, right? It just is. And so I
Victor's
keep
going to
on
geek
going.
out more than me.
Yeah, but that's why I
I'm just
keep
happy
on
I know
going
the
back.
word.
I keep going back to like, if you're just starting out, if you're just starting, this is the first step. This is the first step. This is the, it's easy. Get other people to help you do this. Get to that first sale, and that will change everything. You got to build
It's
that in.
I remember the stories. I feel like I've met these people, and I haven't even gone to the web pages where you feature every one of them. But I would remember where I was when I heard about the juggler who was juggling at the White House. And I was driving my daughter to school, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, a juggler was able to do a launch? What the heck? That's not even a deliverable. That's a visual corner thing." And then I've got the lady who loves yarn, and she's making all of these things. And I'm thinking about my daughter who does crochet, and I'm begging her to scale. I cannot. Okay, there's always going to be the 0.3% out of the
How
4.7
about
stars, right?
Kathy with corsets?
Oh yeah, right. And every example you give me, I know there's someone that you know. You say wooden dolls, I'm like, I'm sure there's someone with wooden dolls that you know that has taken it and seen it through the end. And by golly, if that's not the thing that excites me most, because I don't know if this is ego or selfishness, and you can check me if I'm there, but I want the same thing. I want the same thing in my business. I want to copy those websites where you've got those stories of those people and put my people that I get to work with on there, because that we just deserve it. It's not even that I need the accolades. It's just I want proof that it works, and I want to tell those stories over and over and over again, because one day, hopefully many, many, many decades from now, there's going to be people that take your seat, and there's going to be people that take my seat, and we're not going to be here anymore. You mentioned the Art of War being a book that has far outlived the author by centuries. Let me ask, what is the mark that you want to leave? Is this book one that you want to see outpace you and outlive you? What do you hope people will
Well,
say?
I think it certainly will. It keeps on selling. It sells through, I mean, books, long perennial sellers, they sell through word of mouth, right? And look at why you bought it, because
I
someone told you about it.
Angie, I know her.
Yeah. So it's going to keep on selling. It's sold hundreds of thousands of copies. I'm proud of it. I put a huge amount of work into it. These communities I've built, my PLF owner community, my launch club community, my mastermind community, those will outlive me. But I think the real answer is like all of my students, their work. There's people that have better trained dogs because of me. I don't know how to train dogs. There are people that read echocardiograms better and save people's lives.
I just read that
Yeah.
today.
Because of me. I don't even know what an echocardiogram is. But there are people whose lives have been saved because of Franz. And so I think that's part of the legacy of the work. And then I'll tell you, Marianne, so when I was a stay-at-home dad, it wasn't because I sold my .com and I was rich. It was because I was a corporate failure. But I came home and my son was a year old, and then we had my daughter, and so then I was home with two little babies, and
A lot of diapers.
yeah, a lot of diapers, a lot of peanut butter sandwiches. Um, those kids have grown up, and they're both leaders in my company.
Love that so much.
Very significant leaders. And so, my son has taken a big front stage role lately. So I'm going to be, I'm not in a rush I love getting on stage. I love talking about this stuff. I get pumped up, but the future is my kids and our team.
Oh man, that echoes how I feel about our company. So that gives me a lot of hope. So it's okay. I just want to say that you could probably stop now, and you would never have to show up on camera again. You would never have to show up on stage again to keep this going. But I don't get the sense that your plan. I get the sense that you enjoy this too much, that
Yeah,
you want to keep going.
yeah, it's fun. I'm an introvert, but I love to get on stage, and I love inspiring people, and I love seeing the lights turn on. And so many of my people coming into this world, they're not like expert salespeople or expert marketers. They just got a message to share. They got some wisdom to share, and to see them like, man, it's just amazing. Like one of the folks in that book, Amy, you mentioned the knitting and the yarn, and Amy, she just built this up. She came into my world it's probably been 5 years now. You know how time flies. It might even be
Yeah.
6 years, but she's, a multi-million-dollar business from basically scratch,
Yeah.
selling
Yeah.
yarn. But really, what does she sell? She doesn't sell yarn. She sells this crazy custom yarn along with this this knitting experience. And she doesn't just sell yarn. And she doesn't just sell yarn and teaching about how to knit a sweater. She sells a community because everyone knits this sweater together. And so, but she doesn't just sell yarn and training and community. What she sells is empowerment,
Mm.
because knitting a sweater is a freaking hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when these people get together in community and they have this goal and they accomplish that goal, they become different people. They did something that was really hard that they've been wanting to do for a long time, and they were empowered to do that. And that changes who they are in their lives. It changes who they are as parents or grandparents, as friends, as daughters, as son. I mean, it's just that kind of thing just jacks me up. I mean, yeah.
Well, I really, really like that we took a turn down this path, because as I've listened to my facilitators speak, I have people that speak on dyslexia. I have people that speak on how to do a side hustle. All of these things that have their own niches. Many, like, the wood dolls and the yarn. They on the surface just seem like fun little interests in business models, and we're tempted to, at least in my head, on the surface, we're tempted to downplay them. But if you see it through, you go down the path that you just went down. It's not about the sweater. It's not about the side hustle. It's not about building websites. It's not about all of this. And maybe this comes with more gravitas than I intentionally meant it to. But at the end of the day, when we buy something, it's not that we're buying a skein of yarn. It's not that we're buying a lotion or even a digital course. What we invest in is really, we're hoping for a feeling. We're hoping for this sense of empowerment. We're hoping for this sense of, I can do something. And I cannot think of a single scenario that doesn't end with the potential to not just improve, but to save a life. There are people whose lives end prematurely because their marriage is in the slump, or because their finances are in the slump, or because they don't feel empowered, or because that this is why they have, in that movie, What About Bob, where they've got Dr. Leo Marget basket weaving. It's a therapeutic thing. I mean, am I crazy to think this way? It seems like this is on the surface, it's not, but ultimately it's life-saving work.
It is. It is. I mean, frankly, just in the last month, I lost a friend to suicide. And it's a terrible thing.
I'm so
And
sorry.
yeah, it's horrible. And when we are empowered, we empower others, and that those ripples just spread. And when I look at this path I've been on, it's impossible to sum up just how ridiculous it is. Just from my first launch that did $1,650, and I was like doing backflips over that. I just thrilled beyond, just unbelievable. Couldn't believe someone would pay me for something I created. That was almost 30 years ago, and to go from there to, I've sold over $100 million of my products, of my digital products. And it's just, I get to live where I want to live and have the life I want to have. And my kids grew up in this, and they're in my business, and it's just been the most ridiculously improbable journey. But the most amazing thing is just being able to now have a life where I do empower people and I give them not just hope, but the tools to move forward. And the work they do, they're doing the same thing. And yeah, it's hard to lose someone like that. And it just sort of makes you want to double down on the good that you're doing.
Well, and I thank you for continuing to do it, even though financially the need has been met. You know, you don't necessarily need to. But the fact that you've come on my show twice now and you're continuing to put out the work, you're continuing to do live calls. And honestly, Jeff, and I've mentioned this the first time we were able to talk, but I just want to reiterate how appreciative I am of the energy that you bring to the table, of the generosity that you bring to the table, the good that you bring to the table, whether or not you ever meet the people that benefit from your program. You probably will never meet all of them.
No.
You'll never, generationally, like there's just too many people. So I want to bring it back to, I mentioned at the beginning, you're putting on an event, you're putting on a production. I'm going to make sure this episode goes out within just a couple of days. So if you're listening to this when it drops, it's fresh data. Tell us, Jeff, what you've got coming up. So if people want to get in your world and they want to plug in, how do they do that?
So we have this thing, we do it once a year. It's called the Launch Masterclass. And so it's basically, it is, pulling back the curtains, it's the launch for my product launch formula coaching program. And as this airs, in a couple of weeks, we'll open up registration for this year's cohort of the program. But before we do that, we have about 10 days where it's just like this free teach-a-thon where I teach the entire formula. So if you take that book and you turn that book into videos and live broadcasts and me doing my absolute, best I can do in that span of time to teach you the formula, that's what it is. So we'll release lesson one will be, it will be a video series, super tight, super succinct, very bingeable on the core formula, the sideways sales letter, the PS path, the mental triggers. So it gets you completely grounded and it will do it in a very short, compact amount of time. There's little Easter eggs. So if you watch all the videos in that first lesson, then you'll get a bonus expansion pack. But that's a little insider knowledge there. And then a couple days later will be lesson two. And that'll be about the three primary types of launches. One's the seed launch. And frankly, I'll spend more time on the seed launch. And again, it's super tight, super condensed videos, beautiful cinematic videos. And we'll run through those videos. And again, there's a hidden expansion pack. There's also a couple live Q&A calls for me just to answer any questions about those lessons. And then that's leading up to the third lesson is actually going to be a live training from me. And I think that I'm not going to say the date because I don't have my calendar in front of me and I don't want to screw it up.
Oh, I'm with you. I do the same thing.
But that one will be a full out live training from me where I'll go into the open cart sequence, which is just one of the most critical sequences. And I'll be speaking to a lot of that mindset about money, not really about money, but about feeling good about asking for money and asking for the order and how to do it authentically and powerfully. And so I want to do that one live because that's some deep work we're going to do on that third training. So absolutely put that one in your calendar. When you go to the site and put in your email address, this is all free. Put in your email address and you'll get the whole curriculum. And then after that PLC, the third lesson, I was going to say PLC 3 because it is PLC 3 for the insiders. After that third lesson, then comes bonus week. And bonus week is also when we open up registration. But it's just, we go all out. My team goes all out for about a week and a half, 10, 11 days and go all out, teach our heart out. And then I will make an offer for Product Launch Formula and some people will join me. And if they do, we'll go even deeper. But if you don't, we'll just give you an amazing training and just a huge head start on how to do these launches.
Well, I'm stoked about that. So we'll put the link in the description in the show notes here. Is there a quick link or is it better to just go to the description and find it, Jeff?
Probably the best is to go to the description.
Okay. We'll make sure we get that from the team and put that in there.
Frankly, my team's still building it out right now and I don't know the links.
So people can join the wait list right now if they're listening to this early.
Yes. Yeah. There'll be a wait list. Absolutely. And if they join the wait list, we'll even have some warm up stuff for them.
Ooh, okay. You're probably going to see me a lot of that warm up stuff because I can't get enough of this, and I want to get it into the hands of people that are doing so much good in the world. I can't stop thinking about my buddy Alton. He's started a company that is called Shatter 55, and he's using this business to help other business owners, and through that preventing suicide. That's his mission, and I just, again, I can't tell you how grateful I am that you're doing what you're doing, that you're putting out where you're putting out, that you've got your family involved, that you're living the life that you love as an example to the rest of us, to get real with that. And in the end of the book, it talks about goal setting. I hope you all take a moment to do that exercise. I think it's 14 or 15, chapter 14 or 15, where you do some life goals and sit down and do it. So you know why you're building what you're building. So when those days suck, and you will have days that suck, I don't know if that ever ends. Jeff, I don't know. You probably still, yeah, you have some of those still. Okay. All right. I'm in good company then. That you can look forward to the future and say, okay, we're doing this because of this and it's worth it. Sometimes those 3 words, it's worth it, just get me to the end of my day, get me out of bed the next morning, and that's all. That's all I need to do. So you'll probably see me in those trainings. I'm going to be signing up myself. Maybe I have already. I don't know. I got to get that link going. I'll put that link in the show notes. Jeff, any parting words for people that have been listening today? A lot of them are speakers that have been here. A lot of them are brand new in business. Maybe we've got some new friends. Any parting words for our friends?
That this is very doable. It is. Oh, you can do this. You just have to put one foot in front of the other and take those baby steps. And once you start taking those baby steps, it's one of my favorite quotes. It's from that Robert Frost poem. Was it Road Not Taken? I think is the name of it.
Road less traveled by, is that the one?
Yeah. It's the one where the two paths, split, and I took the high road. Yeah. There's a line. There's just 3 words or 4 words. Way leads onto way. Way leads onto way. So once you start moving on the way, then the next step unfolds. And no one knows the 100th step. No one knows the 1,000th step. We don't even know the 10th step. We just focus on the next step. And that's like everything I do is based on that principle of taking people who maybe have no business or marketing experience and showing them the step-by-step way, but you just have to get into motion.
Well, there's reason for hope, my friends. If you're feeling like you just left your job, you're looking forward to leaving your job, you can't keep the lights on, you can't keep the water on. Listen to what Jeff is saying. There is hope, there's ability, and I feel just a huge infusion from Jeff, not only into me, but into everyone that's listening. Take this and run with it. Find your next step and do it before you go to bed. Whether it's registering for free for Jeff's stuff or whether it's listening to another podcast, you know what it is. Take that next step because there's every reason for that abundance juice to be flowing through your veins. So, Jeff, thank you so much for coming on the show again. We will see you, friends, in the next episode and at the event. Take care. Hey, what's up? Marianne Hickman here. Hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed that episode. We have some pretty amazing speakers on my podcast and, of course, more to come. If this is something that you enjoyed, guys, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. You guys know what to do. I love your comments and I respond to every single one of them personally, not a bot or an agency. So if this is something you're enjoying, tell me about it. Tell me your gold nuggets. I want to hear from you. But here's the most important thing I want you to laser in on. I told you about the podcast database. You've probably seen me post about it all over social media. I want to make sure that you get it. So here's what I want you to do. Go to mariannehickman.com/database. Once you put all of your information in there, I'm going to send you the document. You request access to it. Boom, it's unlocked. Once you're in there, my rule of thumb is to apply to 10 podcasts a month. It's very digestible. It's very easy to do. And the database gets updated twice a week. So I want you constantly checking back in there for the next podcast that fits your audience. Thank you for being here. Much love to you, and we'll see you in the next episode.